about a few different concepts, including forces, energy transfer, momentum, and collisions. So let's start by talking about forces. So let's start with Newton's laws of motion. So for Newton's first law of motion, this means that an object at rest or motion will stay at rest or motion until a force acts upon it. So this includes the law of inertia. So let's say you have two balls that are the same size. However, one is a bowling ball and the other is a beach ball. The bowling ball will be harder to move because it has a greater mass. Now for Newton's second law of motion. This means that how much an object accelerates depends on the mass and the force acting upon it. So let's say you have a hockey puck that is standing still. This is known as equilibrium because all forces are balanced out, meaning the velocity isn't changing. Velocity just means the speed in a given direction, and since it's standing still, it can't be changing. However, let's say you have a hockey puck and then you hit it. This means it's going to be gaining acceleration, which means the rate at which velocity is changing, and since it's moving, the velocity can then change. Now for Newton's third law of motion. This just means that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. For example, if you have a balloon, the action is going to be the air rushing down. The reaction will be the balloon rising up. So those are Newton's laws of motion. The next concept we'll be talking about is energy and energy transfer. So what is energy? Energy is the ability to do work. Work means force times distance. Well, what is the conservation of energy? This just means that energy can neither be created, nor can energy be destroyed. Although energy can't be created or destroyed, it can be converted into two different types of energy. These two types of energy include potential energy and kinetic energy. Potential means an object's position because it hasn't moved yet. However, kinetic means an object's motion because the object has to be in motion to have kinetic energy. They also have two separate equations, potentials being mass times gravitational height, and kinetics being 1/2 times mass times velocity squared. This leads right into our next two concepts, including momentum and collisions. A good example of this is in Newton's cradle. This is also a good example of Newton's laws of motion, which we went over earlier. So let's say you're holding one of the objects out to the side. It has potential energy because it hasn't moved yet, but once you let it go, it'll be in motion, so it has kinetic energy. Once these two objects collide, it creates a collision, meaning that it exchanges energy and it also exchanges momentum. Momentum means mass times velocity, which we went over earlier on what velocity means, or the speed in a given direction. Here is an example of a real-life Newton's cradle. As you can see, they're exchanging energy as they move. So that concludes all of the concepts, so the end. Hope you enjoyed.